So this is the Super Gmod Iceberg. There's 8 levels. Surface observations, Doujin knowledge, regular knowledge, advanced knowledge, obscure knowledge, esoteric knowledge, the abyss, and then elite knowledge. I'm gonna skip the first two mostly. I mean, I'll explain like 2 or 3 of them. So, in the surface observations, exclamation crate is a command you can do to spawn a crate and get a random item. And new gen knowledge, bald discrimination, refers to the fact that when you join the server for the first time, you have a male 04 player model, and people don't like that. People shoot at you because you got no hair. And that's where that comes from. Shit reg is just shit registration. That's because the server host sucks, and sometimes you shoot somebody in the head and blood comes out, but they don't die because of the shit reg. So that's that. Layer 3 is regular knowledge. These are the kinds of things you would know if you had about 5 or 10,000 sandbucks or 5 or 10,000 minutes playing in the server, and just by asking around and kind of getting the gist of what the server is all about, you could figure all these things out below. Boxster. He's a controversial guy, known for his rage bait, known for his excessive usage of the N-word, but he cuts it to just 3 letters, NGA, so it's definitely not racist. Super okay. That's his words. And he also has his famous boxing strategy, where he protects himself in a cube while he's PvPing so you can't hit him. Also known as pussy cubing.
Dude, I'll spawn him to damn.
God damn.
No, shut the fuck up, the phone. I'm
Damn.
doing that shit.
Dude, you're actually cheating. How are you hitting those
I'm not
shots?
cheating.
Are we dead ass? You're fucking stupid.
No, it's true.
Dude, this
Brother,
guy
I
just
got
keeps
4
spawning
brain
blocks.
cells and they're all
What a
fighting for
pussy.
fifth
He is
place.
like the biggest pussy
I'm
I've ever
telling you,
seen
because
on
he's just a baby.
PvP. Oh my god.
No, bro, because you have
He's such a
cheats,
pussy.
bro.
ACA. This was led by Scooty, a moderator of the server. It stands for Anti-Cringe Association, kind of ironic. And its goal is to kill people who use crossbows. And this was about 2022 or 2023. Their goal was like do what's in the best interest of Super Gary's mod server. Like they're for the people, I guess. And they declined about 2023, mid 2023. Potato jumping is just a way to move by unfreezing a potato launcher chamber on yourself and you get launched into the air. Buffin's resignation. On August 7th, Buffin stepped down as a moderator because of the anti-Buffins movement. CAG. C-A-G. CAG stands for Cute Animate Girl, but that is the username of a guy. It's not a phrase, it's a username. He changed his name to Cute Anime Boy, but he's more commonly known as CAG. So, CAG is this guy from the United Kingdom. He used to kind of lie about his age. Sometimes he'd say 16, sometimes he'd say 17, so like, we don't really know. He was known for saying odd things in text chat. Being weird towards Pissyphus. He would follow him around. Sometimes he'd join, and he would be like, "Where's Pissyphus? I want to see Pissyphus." And if he wasn't there, he would just leave. So like, that's all he joined for. He would spray odd things on the walls, which I will not describe. And when he got banned for this, which I actually have a YouTube video on that you can watch, he followed Pissyphus to CFC, another server, just to talk to him. And the word CAG becomes a meme just because of the way it sounds. And it's kind of transcended its original meaning. You can just kind of use CAG for anything. You could say, what the CAG, holy CAG. So, it's like a server inside joke now. And this becomes influential later on. The Super Gary's Mod movie is kind of a running gag. It's a hypothetical movie about Super Gary's Mod, but nobody could really ever decide what it would be about specifically, and due to a lack of coordination, it just never really happened. There were a couple attempts, but they never went anywhere. Janky. Also known as Crotex, also known as Corvus, also known as Spotlight, also known as Mr. Crowley, also known as Mr. Crow, also known as Delta Crow, also known as The Jankler, also known as Jankster Gangster, also known as The Big J, or simply The Crow. This individual is pretty influential to the server, and they come up in many more entries. So you'll get more explanation of who this is as we go on. Super Dark RP. This was a Dark RP version of Super, officially made by Console. It's about 2024 when it was made, and it lasted a couple months. I don't really know much beyond that, because I never played on it. Scooty, so this goes back to the ACA. He's a former moderator on Super, and he led the ACA, so he kind of had a chokehold on the server because that clan was supported by a moderator, so there's a bit of an unfair advantage there. And around 2023, he was exposed on a YouTube video, and I think that's around the time he got demodded and the ACA kind of fell apart. Bossbo. This is kind of like Bike's little club where you can submit sick crossbow clips and he'll rate it. And yeah, it's just like a community of people who hit super tough clips on Gmod with the crossbow. Prop flying. Well, you know what prop flying is. It's in all of Gmod. It's just a little bit different because Super has a freezing system that makes it a little more difficult, but besides that, it's basically the same. Level 4, Advanced Knowledge. This is probably around where most regulars are. So like you kind of know your stuff now, you're getting a little more into the server, if you know what I'm saying. Retards. These are like the village idiots of the server, so like if you didn't do anything that's bad enough to be banned for, but you're still just like an idiot that nobody likes, you get the retard rank. And this is like a public humiliation thing. You can only walk really slowly, you don't have any weapons, you can't spawn anything, you're very restricted. And there aren't many of these anymore. They're mostly extinct, but recently somebody was retardified. Somebody built a swastika in the map, and Console just happened to be on, and he just felt like retardifying this guy. But that's the only recent case. Boner Squad was created by John Soup, very popular guy. Doesn't play anymore though. It was a squad of skeleton player models, and they would go around in these planes that John Soup built, and they would just kind of fight people. This caused the Skelly Wars about 2023, I would say. And this also caused skeleton racism, because people would discriminate against skeleton player models because of their association with the Boner Squad. And this still kind of happens to this day. Console bots. It's the idea that, like, some particular people are just bought to increase server engagement. So, like, consoles purposely botting the server. And we get this idea because there's certain balds that just run around aimlessly and only use the crossbow or a particular weapon, and they just act very inhumanly. And these could just be new players, but their behavior is very strange. And this kind of gets into dead super theory, which we will get into later down here. Clang physics. So it's this kind of pseudoscience created by Janky, and it's this idea that, like, there's these anomalous collisions between props when you weld them in certain ways, and this has been used to create technology like a clang plane. So a flying machine powered by a clang engine. It could be used as a potential power source because it kind of jitters around. And of course there's the iconic cube with gear. That's like the clang engine that Janky talks about. Sprays are a controversial subject because there was a lot of NSFW sprays all over the walls back in the day, and Janky got pretty pissed about this and he complained to console about it, and there's this whole ordeal. We'll get into more of this later. FGC migration. This is connected to the sprays. So on March 3rd, 2025, Janky DMs console and Discord complaining about porn sprays, and he's really pissed. He has this kind of attitude to him that just rubs console the wrong way, and he gets pissed and he just bans him on the spot. And Janky gets really mad and says this is unjust, and he's never playing Super again. And Janky and like 5 or 10 other people, they moved to FGC as an alternative. And console eventually unbans Janky, and Janky comes back, but then they leave again, eventually, a couple months later. We'll get into that later. Nairs. They are a subculture of Super. So kind of their own community. They have their own Discord server. They do activities together. I don't think they're very active anymore, but they still exist. Nair is a word that comes from Binky, and it's his replacement of the N-word. I guess not to be racist. So kind of like Boxster saying NGA, but I don't think he means it in a malicious way. They even had their own dark RP server and a sandbox server, and they fought in a war in one of my YouTube videos that you can watch actually. The Super Garry's Mod wiki. It's a online website, so Wikipedia style database of a lot of events on Super. It's pretty inaccurate and outdated though, so I would not recommend it to find everything on Super, but it does have valuable information, and I'll put a link for it if you want to see it. Political arguments refers to a lot of political arguments that have happened on the server, particularly between two people that were featured in a YouTube video that I made, Janky and Allison. So that video is just one of many arguments that they've had. That one was just the one I happened to catch on film, so there's a lot more to it, but sadly it's just lost media now. Noseboy is a kid that used to play about a couple months ago, and there's this guy called Gwyn Everest that really loved to mess with him, so he changes his name to Liquid Noseboy as a reference to Chris Chan and Liquid Chris, if you know what that whole situation was about. And he just kind of pokes him, pisses him off. It's a whole ordeal. I have a video on Noseboy too, and you can see the finale of all this buildup, because this was happening for probably 1 or 2 months. Like, Gwyn Everest and his girlfriend wouldn't stop like harassing Noseboy and like accusing him of spamming swastikas everywhere. They accused him of like hacking, accused him of like grooming people, all kinds of like kind of crazy messed up stuff. YouTube content. This is kind of self-explanatory. There's YouTube videos of Super, and that's it. Cagnet. This is my server, actually, that I made. It started in about winter of 2024, but it was just called like DZ's server or something. And then Cag became a meme in like summer 2025, so we called it Cagnet. And we're kind of like the Nairs in that we're a subculture. We have our own Discord server and our own Gmod server. There was a lot of fun stuff on Cagnet. The performance was really bad though, and Cagnet isn't really active anymore. Because nobody really plays on it. But there were a lot of good times had on that server. A lot of funny stuff. Inactive staff. This is just talking about moderators and admins that just don't play anymore. So like Doi, LMC, Fubar, and Kelsey. Kelsey joins like maybe once a month, but she's pretty inactive. Obscure knowledge. This is where the more interesting entries begin. Void bases. These are secret bases in pockets of walkable voids underneath the map. And if you're in a void, you can shoot people through the ground, but they can't shoot back at you, so it's very unfair, and console patched this. Radio triangulation. This is referring to Janky and Dephone and their friendship. So around summer, fall 2025, in between there, Janky and Dephone were discussing their shared interest in radios. So they're into like tweaking with radios and radio stations and things like that. And they're talking through the radios. Like they happen to live a couple towns away, and they actually can like communicate with each other over radio. And so somehow they managed to triangulate each other's coordinates, and they seem very excited about this, and unfortunately it's kind of misinterpreted by the server as them just being weird because you know, they're just kind of doxing each other basically, so the whole server kind of flames them, and this eventually ties into another entry deeper down the iceberg. Catmandoo 9000. This guy just kind of showed up one day and he decided he was the main character of Super. So he's this very eccentric guy, and he discovers the Super Garry's Mod wiki, and he writes the longest article on the entire wiki. I don't remember how long it was, but it was like a couple thousand words. He wrote a lot, and he's just kind of this entertaining guy because of how he describes things and how he thinks like he's the main guy at the server. It's really like funny and entertaining actually. He's a good guy. I'll link the article so you can read it. I recommend it. Soffit. I don't think I'm allowed to say much about this person, but all you gotta know is they're pretty controversial. Like Boxster, they were part of the FGC migration, and they have not played Super in a very long time. That's all I can say. Lua injection. This is referring to Shanky and Defone's technology, allegedly in FGC. They've developed some kind of method that bricks computers and causes technological devastation by somehow injecting Lua into a prop. And this kind of became a massive meme over on Super. October 13th, 2025. This was an incident where the server experienced some kind of attack or spam. This lasted a pretty long time, and in the Discord there were people complaining of getting banned, permabanned, and even some people said console was like spamming the N-word somehow, like they hacked into the console and spammed that. And then funny thing, a super refugee server is created in response to this because of all the chaos in the original server, so they create a refugee server temporarily, but it's gone now. You're the legend. This just refers to a clip from this thing that happened on CACnet.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to be here. I want to be with a homie. I want to be with this homie right here. The legend. They're gonna be gone now.
Fuck you calling legend?
You're a legend.
Why are you pointing that crossbow at me?
What is this sofa glaze? Are we dead?
Green Gordon. Green Gordon is like the Bigfoot of Super. It's like this kind of cryptid thing that only a couple people have seen before. So it's this translucent version of info_player_start, which is used in the Hammer editor, if you know what that is. So it kind of flashes in and out of existence, and usually in Super, when you hover over a prop with your cursor, it shows who spawns it, but not with these things. They just kind of phase in and out around the map and random locations, and nobody knows who did it. And sometimes they stayed there for several minutes, and people would gather around just to see it because it was really interesting at the time. It's just kind of this server-wide mystery. And some people even tried to do Green Gordon rituals where they'd like light up candles and do sacrifices in an attempt to summon him. There were also Green Gordon detectors, which were these little pieces of technology that lit green when he was nearby, but I'm not sure if these were actually legitimate. I think it was either Spycrab or Console that was doing this, but I can't really say for sure. Velvet 85. This guy played around 2023, I think, and he constantly polluted both text chat and VC. And VC, he would just moan and groan for several hours. Like, I'm not exaggerating, several hours at a time. It did not end. And there was allegedly one time at about 8 a.m. in the morning, there were like 2 or 3 people on the server at the time, and Velvet 85 was repeatedly running in a loop over and over in some kind of manic episode. He was possibly under some drug, and he just kept repeating, "Call Arby's, call Arby's," over and over. And this allegedly went on for like 30 minutes, an hour, something like that. Pretty funny. Eventually, I think he was banned just for being an idiot and being really annoying. Random username raid. This was a really bizarre incident where a completely random account would just join and play this EDM kind of music just for like 10 seconds, and they would leave, and then a new account would instantly join and do the same thing over and over. This happened for about 2 or 3 minutes, and I may be misremembering, but I might have seen like a shady URL to some kind of scam site, but I don't know. Jurek. This was a really strange case because this was this person that joined and just started spamming these really nonsensical strings of words that didn't really make sense together. And he would also spam these hex codes, which were like encrypted messages. Sometimes they'd be complete nonsense, and then other times they would link to images. And I will show you those images right now. So he could possibly be a Gopnik alt because he was friends with Gopnik on Steam, but we don't really know for sure. Layer 6, Esoteric knowledge. Now we're getting into the juice of the iceberg. You gotta be a real super scholar to know some of these. Secret test server. Now, the secret test server, we don't really know what it is exactly, but on battle metrics you can see Console's Steam account having a lot of activity on this server, and that's how I discovered this. It's locked by a password, so we can't really figure out what's in there, and he has mentioned this server before, so it is confirmed that this test server does exist, but besides that we don't really know much about it. 200-page anti-fur fanfic. Sometime in 2020, some really corny kid apparently wrote this really long I guess anti-furry manifesto. I wasn't there for this, so I don't really know what this was all about. That book is probably lost media by now, so who knows what this was all about. Zagus and Jackson. This is a weird one. So sometime around 2022 or 2023, there were these two people. Zagus was a pretty good PvPer, well respected, pretty nice guy, and Jackson was his best friend. So Zagus and Jackson, the pair, always talking to each other, and apparently Jackson aggravates some certain group of people. We don't know who these people were, but he gets in some kind of drama with them, and this results in an attack. So they trace his identity to various social medias and do a big expose on him. So they expose him for his interest in earwax, if you're picking up what I'm laying down. And Jackson disappears shortly after this. We don't know if he's banned or not. We just know he's gone after this. And then Zagus was targeted for this because, of course, they're very close friends. And so he's kind of guilty by association, even though he didn't do anything. And Zagus completely disappears. He is gone. Just wiped. We can't even find his Steam account. And where the weirdness of the situation comes in is like how like seemingly covered up all of this is. Like, this was kind of a big deal at the time, but all of the evidence and like documentation of this happening is just gone. Like, somebody went back and just covered all this up. So it might have been Jackson, it might have been Zagus, we don't know. But it's apparent that a lot of evidence for this has been wiped, and we only have very few like images and accounts of what happened. So that's why almost nobody knows about this. It's just been very covered up. Very strange. The SpongeBob incident. March 14th, 2024. Approximately 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Discord seems to be having some internal issues. Media doesn't load very properly. The interface feels sluggish. And overall, there are just some network issues, you could say. Few server members are conversing on the Super Discord, as usually. And at 2:08 p.m., a GIF of SpongeBob's throbbing member is unleashed into the chat without warning and then is quickly deleted. The glitches during this time made it unclear of who sent the GIF. Janky was accused of sending this GIF, and even though he did it, this guy accuses him of doing it just for the giggles. And it's plausible because of this glitch, it kind of looked like his name flashed onto it for a second. There's like multiple different perspectives here. Like, Buffins might have sent it, this other guy might have sent it, but these people are saying Janky's name flashed right there with the GIF, and they get blamed for it. And then Janky like just crashes out in the chat. He's like, I'm telling console, you're breaking the rules, no personal drama. And they just kind of keep pushing it, and the whole thing's pretty funny. But that's about it. Sheeple incident. I don't really have much on this, but apparently several mods and admins had a Sheeple player model and went around chasing and attacking players, and there were about 20 people online at the time. 2019 Super. This was the first year Super was ever online, so it started October of 2019. And the reason why this is an entry is because there's basically no documentation of this time. So 2019 is basically a mystery. We don't really know what happened in the beginnings of Super. Sewers. This could refer to two things. This could refer to Charger's build. Charger's a very good builder, and she built this cool like sewer system in the dark room, and we all hung out there. I have a couple screenshots of it. I might be able to find it, but I don't know for sure. The other thing it could be referring to is really funny, but I don't think I should say it because kind of a spicy topic. Ramp prop trap exploit. This was an old glitch. I don't know what year it was, but apparently back in the day you could spawn a giant ramp, you know, the one with the flashing arrows, and you could put this in spawn and just prop trap everybody and couldn't get out at all. So that's it. Mozzarella TSA airport conveyor belt death cult. This refers to an image I'll put up here, and that's all I'll tell you. It's up to your interpretation. The Abyss. This is the 7th and final layer with content in it. You gotta be truly in the hacker world, you know, to know some of this stuff. The dark knowledge behind closed doors, if you will. Igor Voronov invasion. 2023. 15 bots joined all at the same time, named Igor Voronov, and all of them aimlessly walked around with crowbars, and they were all spamming VC with this TDS voice, and they were just repeating Igor Voronov in VC for 10 minutes straight, and that's all they did. And then they left, and that was it. There's about 7 people that witnessed this at the time, and that was that. Pissyphus microphone incident. Now, I'm not gonna get too deep into this because it's kind of personal, but there was a mic glitch with Pissyphus's microphone when he went AFK, and we'll just say disaster occurred. Very few noticed, thankfully, but it was still pretty devastating for him. Skybox entity possession phenomenon. This was a really bizarre glitch. We still don't really know what this was. So what would happen is that you would fly into the skybox, and then since there's an automatic kill barrier in the skybox that like deletes everything about every minute to prevent people from glitching in there, you would fly in and then everything would be deleted and you would die. But for some reason this one time you would like glitch and then your camera would shift into the perspective of an entity. It was really weird. So like, for example, you could randomly have the POV of a crossbow bolt flying across the map, and then after that disappears, you turn into a chair. Or you get the perspective of a camera, or if somebody dies, you get the perspective of their ragdoll because it's an entity. So really bizarre. We have no idea why this happens, and there's no known recorded footage of this whatsoever. Very obscure. Duper Gmod server. This is a hypothetical replica of Super. It could exist in the previously mentioned test server, but we don't really know. A Super copy kind of already exists, but it's imperfect and a bit outdated. So, yeah. Social experiment theory. Now this is kind of a wild theory. It's suggesting that Super is not what it seems, and Super was actually created by sociologists, or Console collaborated with sociologists as part of a research project, basically, to study online human behavior. And Super in this theory would just be like a way to collect data, but it's disguised. It's just a Gary's Mod server. And some players may be partially aware or in on it entirely, so they kind of keep it a secret. But some may be manipulated, you could say, into doing certain things. So like, they would purposely instigate events just for the sake of it, just to see what would happen for science, you know. There's possibly evidence of this being on other servers, so like this could be an entire Gmod social experiment. We don't really know. There is more evidence of this, but I can't really show that right now. Dead super theory. This is kind of related to the social experiment theory in that there would be like a secret organization manipulating the server in order to get a desired effect. But dead super theory is literally just the dead internet theory, if you know what that is, but for super Gmod. So dead super theory is the idea that many, if not most, of the server is just console bots, and the bots may be used to boost player count simply, or it may be used for ulterior motives. We don't really know. And there could be more advanced bots that spam purposely provocative statements to generate engagement. So like they just purposely say stupid racist stuff just as engagement bait, basically. And it goes as far to say that soundboard spammers could be just advanced AI. Maybe even people who use VC could just be AI voices. We don't know. Walmart parking lot. Sometime around late summer of 2025, Janky is getting bullied basically for the radio triangulation incident that we talked about earlier, and Janky quits and permanently goes to FGC. So they're gone, and they're still gone to this day. And this begins to spread in the server, so people begin gossiping about it, and Janky is gone quickly turns into Janky is gone. So a kind of game of telephone happens, and people tell each other, and the message kind of distorts, and the Janky is dead, Janky is deceased. And then I don't remember who articulated this wonderful sentence, but the idea eventually distorts into Janky was brutally gunned down in a Walmart parking lot, and 67 bullet wounds were found in the body. And that became the official narrative. So after he dies, Mr. M attempts to contact them through a Ouija board and attempt to communicate with their spirit. Some make fun of their death, some make a grave, and it's just kind of an example of the server going too far, because some people actually thought Janky died, and they were like joking about it. And I remember me and Kep like having to kind of step in and like tell people this isn't okay to joke like that. And that's all there is to that.